pleased to have Amy McCoy here at this table. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me today.
Former elementary school teacher turned author. Why did you set out to start to write a book?
Well, I've always found writing to be a very therapeutic process for anything that I'm going through in life. And I have 2 children, and the book is a realistic fiction book based on their lives. So,
Little big sister.
Yes, little big sister. My children are Catherine and Matthew. My son, Matthew, has autism. So my younger daughter is like the little big sister. She often acts as the older sister.
Tell me about his autism. What type of autism is he on the spectrum? Take us through this for those who might hear your message.
So my son he would be considered high functioning. He's a joyful child. He does bring joy and love to everyone who he meets. But he is very impulsive. He doesn't understand danger. He will run out into the street. A lot of children who have autism are uncoordinated, so he is unable to successfully ride a bike, use a fork and knife the conventional way. Things are difficult for him that involve coordination.
And he's 11 now?
He's 11, he'll be 12 next month.
Okay.
And my daughter's 10.
So she's younger, and she's observing things he can do and things he cannot do. How did that affect her life? And that's, I know why you wrote this book.
Such a great question. So from the time she was a very young child, she was very aware that something was different about her brother, and she started asking questions, and I was always searching for just the right book, just the right way to explain to her that, you know, we're a family, he's her brother, we all love each other, but yes, he is a little bit different. And I searched and searched for what words to use, what tools to use to help her. And as she got older, her questions became more, you know, she really needed answers for her questions. So for example, say the 5, 6, 7-year-old questions were, you know, how come I can ride a 2-wheeler and he can't? He's older than me, he should be able to do that. How come I can use my fork and you make me use my fork and he can't use his fork? You know, he's older than me. You know, how come I have to make my bed and he can't? So she had a lot of questions. Another one, you know, how come, you know, we go to the same school and he takes the special needs van to school, but I get to take the bus. How come he can't come on the bus with me, Mommy? He would love the bus. She's right, he would love the bus, but he would get up out of his seat. He would possibly sit in the driver's lap. He would, you know, he doesn't follow the conventional rules. He doesn't stop himself. He's very impulsive. That's the piece of his autism there that I was describing before.
How has this book helped her, and how did she help you write it to give a voice to other families who are dealing with this?
So about, it was 2 summers ago. She had just finished 2nd grade, and I was looking for a summer project for she and I to work on together. I love writing. Her 2nd grade teacher had remarked about what a great writer she was as a 2nd grader. So I said, how about we work on a little writing project together? And I started writing little stories, first person for her. What it's like to go to the playground with your big brother, what it's like to go to the mall or to the movies with your big brother. And I would try to hit on that piece to help her understand that I know that this is hard for you. I know that you're embarrassed, or I know that this is not easy. And I would write these little stories, just a paragraph or 2, and I'd say, can you read this and tell me, is this what it feels like to be you? What would you change? And she would kind of edit it and have a little fun with it, change the names around. And I started really getting excited about the little stories. So I started...
It was your life. You're living this. You're the mother of 2 children, very different.
Exactly.
And so, did the writing come easy then?
It did. It really came easy. I started writing little stories, and then all of a sudden I would kind of add some characters in, and it started taking form into a book. So this first little snippet that I just sat at the computer, she was sitting next to me, I started typing this little snippet about what it's like to go to the playground. And I think this is the beginning of chapter 6. Who knew this was going to even be in a book at the time that she and I were writing this? But there they are on the seesaw, and the older sibling in the book, whose name, obviously the kids in the book are you know, modeled after my children's realistic fiction, but we changed the names. So he impulsively jumps off the seesaw. She falls down, injuring her backside, is wincing in pain and trying to not cry. But the mom in the story is unable to run over to her to make sure she's okay, because she has to chase after the older brother with autism to make sure he's not running into the parking lot or harming another younger child on the playground on another playground apparatus. And I feel like that is the story of her life. She has a need, but it's it can't be met by mom or by dad. It's delayed because we have to make sure that he's safe because he.
So you're writing words that nobody else has written a book about. This is written for what age group so that they might read it?
Yes. So I would say that it's written for ages 7 to 12. Those are the children that are reading it in my life, who I know that are reading it, my children's friends, cousins, people who have commented in on my Facebook page or website. And I would say it's about a 2nd to 3rd grade reading level. It's a great read aloud for parents to read to their children or together. I have friends who have children that are just getting diagnosed, and they are so thankful for this book because they're reading it with their older siblings where the younger one is getting a diagnosis, and it's opening conversations for their family that are difficult to have otherwise.
You're also blogging about this, which is a nice pairing with the book, and I'm sure people are taking there as well about your experiences and their experiences.
Yes, so I began the blog several years ago, and my hope for the blog was not so much for the siblings' point of view, but more for the parents' point of view. As I mentioned before, I do find writing to be so therapeutic. And my goal with the blog, at first I didn't broadcast it out. I just sent it to close-knit family and friends. And my goal was to help them understand what our life was like, because they just see a snippet here, a snippet there at a holiday or at a family gathering, and for them to see, like, this is hard, but we turn it into something positive, and that's my goal with the blog. And oftentimes, my other goal with the blog is oftentimes families such as mine, raising a child with a disability, we can feel isolated from the general community, from general society, because we're not 100% included in that community. We can make ourselves our own community, and that's what I've strived to do over the years. And we do have a wonderful community, mixture of families who do have kids with special needs and without. But I found that having the blog was a way for me to get that out there. Like I said, I was hoping to also help other families who are experiencing this to feel less isolated.
I can't imagine that you're not. Tell me about this saying, Amy.
So life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. And I think for any family who is receiving a new diagnosis or just accepting a diagnosis that was given to a child, is learning how to dance in the rain. They are, there's tears that go along with it. You have to really wrap your head around, okay, what does this mean for my family long term? What does this mean for the siblings, like in the book? So getting that diagnosis in the beginning, there is a period of grief that families go through. And it's kind of a cycle that you go through. You're grieving this loss of, this was supposed to be my whole perfect child. And your child is whole and perfect in many other ways. It's just your child has a diagnosis or a disability.
You're a trained teacher.
Yes.
How did that training prepare you for what happened to be your life with a child that is high functioning but is autistic?
I have to tell you, I don't know if that helped me at all, because being a parent and being a teacher are two totally different things. What I can say is, back when I was a teacher and I had students in my class who had disabilities or special needs, I thought I was meeting their needs and I thought I was meeting their parents' needs. But now, as a parent, I realized I had so much to learn back then as a younger teacher. And I try to help other parents. Now, knowing now, I try to be as communicative as I can with my son's teachers, open that door of communication, work together as a team, and then other parents who I speak to or come to me about, issues or problems they may be having with education or communication, I try to spread that word, because I think it's so important to have the open lines of communication.
We should say, what is the name of your blog?
So it is called Dancing in the Rain. Is the name of the blog, but you can find it by going to my website, which is littlebigsisterbook.com, and then there's a blog page there.
You think you're going to write a second book?
I'm hoping to.
Is this the start of a whole series of books about, you can take this for years?
Yeah, wouldn't that be wonderful? I asked my daughter, my daughter actually asked me, Mommy, are you going to write a second book? I said, I think I am, and I think the title is Little Bigger Sister, and it might take place during the middle school years because, like I said earlier, what prompted some of the stories that are told throughout this book were the questions my daughter had for me back then. You know, why do I take the bus and he doesn't? She, at age 10 now, has a whole new set of questions for me that need to be addressed. Will he ever go to college? Will he get married? Mommy, is he going to learn how to drive a car? And these are, you know, as a parent, this is new territory for me. I don't know really how to answer that. I think the biggest thing that, for my own self, the biggest thing that the book has done for our family and for my daughter, and if this is the only thing it does, I'll be satisfied, is oftentimes the sibling is overlooked. They don't really have a voice in the family, and they're embarrassed. And I wanted to give the siblings a voice. I wanted to help them to feel empowered, that they can be proud of who they are, and they can be proud of their family and of their brother. And the book has a positive twist like that for the siblings. I wanted to also help all the, like the character in the book is Katie. I wanted to help all the Katies in the world or who read this book to know they're not alone. Because these siblings, they feel isolated too. They might think, I'm the only one who's going through this. No one else gets it, how hard it is to have the sibling with a disability.
You're talking about your children's journey. Excuse me. How about your journey? How are you doing with your journey?
Such a good question. It truly has been a journey, and in the beginning, it's very foggy. You're muddling through. You're looking.
When the diagnosis first comes.
Yes, in the way beginning, when the diagnosis first comes, or you know.
And how old was your child when you got that diagnosis?
So when we first realized that something he wasn't quite meeting those milestones at the pediatrician, he was only 9 months old. So we knew from a very young age that, okay, he's not quite sitting or rolling or those gross motor milestones. And I happened to have a lot of friends who had a baby the same month as I did, and all those kids were doing all those things that my son wasn't doing yet. So it was right there, right in front of me. I was realizing, okay, so something's not quite right here. And then he started right away at age 9 months with early intervention, and I think early intervention makes a huge difference.
It's key.
Oh, it is. It makes a huge difference.
So getting back to your journey,
yes.
How are you doing?
I'm in a really good place. Over the years, I have gone from, realizing at a very young age how important it is to have a network of other parents who get it. And that's also a theme in the book, is getting it. We'll come back to that in a second. But I was very, very fortunate to have been a part of a special needs play group. And there were parents there for kids who were age 3 and younger, and the kids had all different diagnoses. And I learned so much from being in that group and being among that peer group. And that was when my son was born. We actually lived in New York. We moved to Connecticut just before he turned 3, and I couldn't find a support group like that near where we lived. I found one that was about an hour away, and I attended it a few times, and I said, you know what, I'm going to have this up where we live. So I started a support group for parents raising a child really of any disability, and it was, I think, a great way to give back and a great way to offer something to parents who were just getting a diagnosis. And it helped me along process what I had been through and then what I was going through.
You're a trailblazer.
I guess.
Well, I appreciate so much you coming on and talking about this and giving a voice to children who are dealing with this as well. And you need to write a whole series of books.
I hope
mean, you're
so.
going to have a long life, so
Yes.
so we'll hear from you a lot. And you self-published it.
Yes, I did, on Amazon. It was a wonderful process. So.
Anything else you want to add about your journey, your son's journey, or your daughter's journey?
I'm so proud of them both for how far they both have come in their own lives and in their own the challenges that they've faced and how they've overcome, and how they're just moving on with their lives, and incredible to see
and
them
yours
together.
too. Little big sister, Amy McCoy, thanks so much for enlightening us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Anne.
Made a trivial pursuit, spend one this in. is this girl I spend all night kissing? And if Walter's right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm so wishing to find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store of my mind, just to save time. Skip right ahead to the last ride. The harder we look, the less we can see. Don't you know, you know, you know that